I'm going to show you how to make a GIF. When I'm shooting these, I have my camera on continuous focus. I usually have it locked onto the subject, and then I do a continuous shot too, where it goes pop, 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 pop. To do that, you usually need a pretty fast SD card, two pretty fast SD cards, because you always have two cards in your camera. And this is how I edit them. So I want them all to be exactly the same. Everything that's in that little section of shots, I want to be edited exactly the same. So I'll edit the first one, and then I will find the end of that section, hold down Shift, and hit Sync. I want everything the same. Crop, if it moves anything, synchronize. Now I'm going to export these from Lightroom, and I want to do it in a way so that when I pull them into Photoshop, it's easy for me to put them in the correct order. So I've made myself a little export preset. Basically, I want it to be a custom name. I usually start with A, the next one will be B, next one will be C. And I want it to be a sequence with the numbers. So that means the first image that's exported will be A1, second image will be A2, third image will be A3, and you'll see why in a minute. I also don't need them to be 100% quality, and I don't need them to be 100% the size. I resize them to fit the long edge, 2048, a little bit lower resolution. You can do whatever works for you. I always have my JPEG Mini add-on so that it makes the actual images smaller, easier to deal with. So let's export that group. I'm going to make a new folder in their little folder here that says GIFs, and then export it there. And then I'm going to open Photoshop. Okay, so now that we're in Photoshop, we're going to go File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack, and then we're going to find the ones that we just exported. All right, so we've got A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 all the way through to here. Open. Okay, so then it puts all of the files right here in a stack, but we want them to be sorted by name so that they are in the same order that we exported them in. Sort by name, and then attempt to automatically align source images. Do that if you're pretty close to having it totally stable. If it's a real wobbly GIF, like you were moving a lot, don't worry about that part. I try to align them because I try to stand very still when I'm shooting. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work. If it looks weird, just start over and don't click that box. So all the images are here, and they're separate layers, and you can see they just kind of move around a little bit. I'll show you how that looks. To open this down here, you're going to go Window, Timeline. Mine's already checked because it's there. But Window and Timeline, that'll open up this little guide down here. You want to make sure that this little drop-down box says Create Frame Animation. You click that little button, and then right here, these lines on the right side, you click those and hit Make Frames from Layers. Okay, so you will notice that once you get your frames into the little timeline thing here and you hit play, it plays backwards. So the easiest thing I've discovered is you just right click or click these the little lines again and hit reverse frames. Now it's forwards. I don't know why it does that. I think that's easier than trying to export it backwards or whatever in Lightroom. I just hit reverse frames. Now you can also see it's playing very fast. It's very, very fast. I want more time to be spent on each of these images before it switches to the next one so that it slows it down a little bit. So we highlight all of these, and at the little drop down box where it says 0 seconds, we can change the delay amount there. I've personally found that I like to do other and put 0.12. That's like my GIF sweet spot. When you highlight all of them and do it all at the same time, it should change the timing of all of them. So down here, instead of saying 0, it now says 0.12. Now I can play it. Plays at like a better speed, I think. So now all I have to do is clean up these edges. As you can see, it's like kind of moving around because it wants to, it's stabilized it. So I'm just going to, using the crop tool, just crop out all of the negative space there. Make sure it still like is a good crop. Play it and watch through and just make sure none of the edges move. See at the very end, boop, that little edge was still sticking out. So I still need to crop it in a tiny bit there. There we go, no edges. Now it's time to export. So I like to export my GIFs in 2 different ways. A GIF like this will not play on Instagram unless it's saved as a video. So I like to do File, Export, Render Video, and then Render. I don't change any of the other settings. Then I also want to save it as a GIF because I can use the actual GIF in my client's PicTime gallery, and I can use it on my website, blog, all that stuff. So File, Export, Save for Web Legacy is how you export a GIF. And then I don't mess with any of this stuff either, and I just hit Save, rename it A. Now I have the MP4 file and the GIF. And that's how you do it. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.